Were you happy when you saw how they designed your costume to look very almost retro?
I was so pumped. I love the retro element of this show, just stylistically. I think it's so fun because in some ways the way we talk in the show and the things we do feel very modern. So to kind of have a bit of a 60s flair as far as the style goes is always really fun to me.
How much has Sabrina embraced the dark side, or is this all just a play to kind of get to Satan?
I think she's embracing it personally. I think that her duality is strong. I think there's a strong part of her that's mortal, but I do think that there's that dark side in her, and playing with that has been super fun. I think she's really excited about it right now. She's pumped on it.
At the end of season 1, we saw Sabrina kind of joining the Weird Sisters for that kind of shot when they're all walking together. Are we going to see her embracing them more this season as actual friends?
It's interesting. I think that the Weird Sisters and Sabrina have always had a really complex relationship, and that definitely doesn't die in the second season. We definitely see a lot of them, but I don't think that it's smooth 24/7. It's no like Rosalind, Susie relationship. It's definitely something a bit more complicated and rocky, which is interesting. But yeah, we do see a lot of them, and it's really fun.
Speaking of Roz and Susie, you're kind of bringing the two worlds together in the second part, right? So what can you kind of say about what that's going to be like? Is that going to go well? How are the two worlds going to mix together?
The two worlds are interesting. Clearly, they're still really far apart, but they just feel an inch closer, which I think just sort of adds a bit of tension and a bit of excitement to the whole thing. But obviously, now that Sabrina's friends know that she's a witch, and they're not, about to be killed, they can talk about it more, and it's more of a sort of a chill environment in that regard. So it's definitely, a massive sort of shift in just the friendship because they know so much more about her.
How torn up is Sabrina over the state of the relationship with Harvey? Where do they stand at this point?
I think to a certain extent there's that love that's always going to be there. And I do think that she is torn up, and I do think that she is a little broken. But I think that Sabrina's a fixer. She likes to fix things. So she doesn't want, the relationship to be awkward. She wants the relationship to be whatever it is. So I don't think we're going to see them as enemies. But I think we're going to see a very different Harvey and Sabrina in the second season, just because both of them have grown so much and lost people and gained things.
Tell us about Sabrina's new look for the season, because last season we saw the hair change color when she signed her name. Are we going to see, a different look for her moving forward?
Yeah, Sabrina's definitely got a different style this season as she sort of embraces the dark side. She's definitely embracing that in her style as well. She's going for a lot of darker colors and edgier looks, edgier makeup. And you can definitely, one of the main differences between Sabrina is what she wears and how she presents herself in the second season. And it's subtle at some points, but it's pretty noticeable. And I would say that last shot in the first season isn't too far off from how Sabrina wants to be presented in the second season, and it's very exciting and fun, and I love the clothes.
And do you think that that's like a natural fit for her, or do you think that this is her trying to be?
No, she's not trying to be anything. She knows so well who she is, and I think that it's just her kind of expressing her true self in a lot of ways.
We don't normally get to see Teen Girl protagonists who not only have such power but also do morally ambiguous things and aren't totally shamed or judged for those actions. And I feel like that's something that's really unique about Sabrina. Mm-hmm. How was it for you to to play that kind of character, and what kinds of responses have you gotten since the show?
It's been fun. I mean, obviously playing someone that has a dark side as well as this good heart, which I truly believe. It's interesting because you want to play that person like a real human that's making decisions, and clearly Sabrina's made some mistakes, but at the end of the day, my main goal is to make her a person, as a human being. It's not to make people like her. It's not to make people dislike her. It's truly just to make her Sabrina, and the rest can be up to everyone else, and however they want to interpret that, they totally can. But my focus is just making her understandable because she's a complex character.
We know she gets closer to Nick this season. What can you kind of say about their growing relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Sabrina has this love for Harvey that will never go away, but at the same time, she's a young girl and she wants to have fun, and Nick is hot and awesome, and she loves him in many ways, and I think that they're really fun partners in crime in the second season. Without delving too far into like exactly sort of what they develop into, I think that Sabrina needs a warlock in the second season to help her get done a lot of the things that she needs to get done. She needs doesn't need, because she does most of the things on her own anyway, but her support system is largely coming from the witch side in the second season, and I think Nick is one of the few witches or warlocks that believes in her and that has her back and that doesn't look down on her and think less of her because of, whatever.
And how does she kind of adjust to the sexuality in the witch world?
There's definitely a lot of there's definitely a storyline about that, and clearly Sabrina sometimes feels like a fish out of water, and I think at the end of the day it's about her finding her balance between and just her truest self. And like I said, Sabrina really, to be quite honest, never pretends to be someone that she's not, and that's what I kind of love about her, is that at the end of the day she's not conforming, she's just finding herself, and sometimes she goes far in one direction or the other, but at the end of the day she's not trying to please anyone. She's trying to help people, but she's trying to do things because she wants to make the world a better place, her world a better place, and she just wants to live her truth.
Last question.
What lessons did Sabrina learn in the first season about the use of magic that she'll either continue to follow in the second half, or that she will just not, ignore?
Yeah, I mean, don't go resurrecting your boyfriend's brother, for sure. That would be a big no. I think that she just worked out a lot of kinks in the first season, as far as, it was her first time using magic, really, to a large extent. And I think that everything has a price is something that you're always going to hear in this show. You're always going to hear that everything has a price, and that when you use magic, other things happen. And I think Sabrina is becoming more aware of that, and her using her powers knowing that becomes more apparent, but sometimes she still goes too far, and sometimes she feels like she could have done something. And I think it's about her just, again, finding her own power, living her own destiny, and being more in control of her powers in the second season, just because she's gaining confidence and strength as she gets older.
There's time for one more. In the first season, your character really steered into the mortal side. In this season, you're steering very much into the witch side. Do you think that ultimately the idea is for her to find a real balance, or do you think that she really is more one way or another?
That's an interesting question, and I think that I have an idea of what I think that answer is, and I think we're going to see it unravel. And at the end of the day, I don't think there is a true balance, and I don't think there's a place for her just in the witch world and just in the mortal world. I think her life is going to be ever changing, and maybe at the end of the day she'll find a spot that feels like it's right, but there's a long way to go before that. There is a very long haul to go before Sabrina finds any stability, I think, to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, the show comes down to family and friendships, and I think both her friendships and her family relationships are so rooted in love. It doesn't matter if they're witch or mortal, and at the end of the day, Sabrina's parents were a witch and immortal, and I think that fascinates her constantly. So I think that's sort of a big overarching theme of the show, is how witches and mortals can come together. And I think Sabrina has a strong vision that she wants that to be her future.